It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brand. Always, I have my co-host with me. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Nima Akashat Zibre. How you doing?
Yes, Mo. I'm very well. Thank you. Somebody's angry with me. Mabinu. I'm very well. We are still on our section. I didn't get to last one time yesterday. I got to last past 7. So I wasn't able to start the broadcast, but hopefully sometime this week I'll do it. Yesterday was a success, major success at the symposium. My eyes were open. All our blindness to, the truth. We have been enlightened and we got major exposure yesterday.
Yeah. I was so happy. I walked in exactly when they introduced Professor Lumumba. So I sat down. I did not miss his lecture.
You had said you were not going to come.
I thought I wasn't going to make, but I just tried to make it.
I like that the camera zoomed in on her well. Hey, on the camera.
Me? No, the camera was permanently on you guys. From start to finish, it was just...
I don't know what the guys were feeling. They were just taking pictures. Paparazzi,
one ambassador to Kenya. I was once an ambassador to Kenya. A Nigerian lawyer came up to me and said, "Jumoke, we were feeling you."
Was not the Ojasa?
Was it interesting?
Yes, sir.
Was interesting?
I was feeling Prof. Lumumba. Like, we need him to be a minister in Nigeria. You just shape all of them.
And even the team, SAN2 was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
The team behind Felabration, people working with YK, they are really, really amazing. The quality of guests back to back every year. Started with Sophie Oduwole, we learned.
I learned so much from
the
that.
lessons from Sophie Oduwole is still with me forever. And now, Professor Lumumba has come again. The team is, they're really amazing.
Very true.
All right, how are you doing?
I'm good.
You were there yesterday too.
Yes, every year. Sadly, the only memory I had of Fela, the only thing I know about Fela was, one person that was always singing lyric songs and the smoking.
Right.
But thanks to having good children, because they now have let me understand the values Fela stood for, how he was sharing books around universities in Nigeria, Falana mentioned, to enlighten the young people to understand what neocolonialism is doing to them. The fact that you don't understand the pride you should have in that you're an African. And those were things he did without searching for popularity or fame. He was not just singing about values, and the values he sang about then are still relevant till today.
And the other thing that was so interesting was the fact that all the leaders that actually had the ideology for Pan-Africanism were killed.
Yes.
As
across Africa.
Across Africa. And that brings forward the fact that we actually need young people.
There's an agenda against Pan-Africanism.
Yes, there's an agenda against Pan-Africanism, and young people need to understand the agenda so they can know how to lead the ship of the new Africa going forward.
I believe that the new Nigerian leaders and African leaders coming out should know that don't run to Washington, don't run to London or Beijing. You don't need their financial aid. Right. Develop your countries. Tap into your resources.
We need more madman.
We need madmen.
More madmen.
If we had grown according to the way that we were doing our trade and developed our own technology without the white man's education, we'll be far ahead of them today.
Most importantly, oneness of Africa. I think we have a news mention. We are one. You are my brother, you're my sister. Within Nigeria, we must see ourselves as one and unite. And if we cannot come together, a house divided, it will not work.
I'm excited. So these are lessons from Felabration.
Yes,
so obviously we learned so much of Felabration.
Yes,
fantastic.
I did.
Okay, we have a news mention today. It's World Mental Health Day. It is observed with the objective of raising awareness of mental health issues across the world, mobilizing efforts to support mental health. We've talked about mental health quite a few times on this show. Yep. We're going to be discussing it later on Hot Topic, but first, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's okay.
All right, we're going to start with The Punch. Reactions as Baru says no role for Kachuku and NPC board in contracts. GMD says contracts figures exaggerated in minister's letter. Agbakogba sues federal government over recent appointment in corporation. Police recover drugs as another Davido's friend crew member die. Ex-army chief Malu dies in Egypt. Buhari others mourn. Again, gunmen attack Rivers community and kill 14. FG probes 31 monkeypox suspected cases in Lagos and 6 other states. No single syringe. Others in Villa Clinic. Aisha Buhari speaks. Edo presenters petition Buhari National Assembly, demand CP's transfer. NIPOS reintroduces money order, begins electronic mail tracking. Okay.
I need to take the Aisha Buhari story.
Right, go ahead.
I've been screaming about the state of our health for a long time, and I'm happy that for once someone in that position experienced it. So she went to Aso Villa Clinic to get an X-ray done. She wanted to go there, and she was advised when she needed it that she should travel to London, and she felt that considering the budget that goes to Aso Villa Clinic, why should she have to travel to London? She now called anonymously and was told that she should get the X-ray machine within wasn't working, and she should get the X-ray done outside. She eventually did, but she now found out that even syringe isn't available. And I'm wondering, good that you're experiencing it, because the regular Nigerian, everyday Nigerian has to buy syringe, has to buy cotton board to take the injection, that they will even buy spirits they will use to clean the area they want to give that put injection to. And we have the large amount of money are budgeted towards the health sector. If only it is judiciously spent.
Let me borrow what my friend says.
May I correct? That is not a large amount of money budgeted to the health sector. It's a large amount of money budgeted to the Aso Villa Clinic.
100 million naira.
Okay, now, like Jumoke always says, if our leaders use our own hospitals, they will understand the situation. Don't use Aso Villa again, madam. Come to General Hospital in federal medical centers around Nigeria.
Come to lose.
So that you can know how much, you can now question how much they get and what is happening.
Let's talk about Davido for a second before we have to move on.
Okay, so you know Davido within the week lost 2 friends, Tagbo and DJ Olu. And so the Nigerian police are, saying that inside DJ Olu's car, they found drugs and alcohol. No. The autopsy the autopsy done on Tagbo was where they found alcohol that would kill any human being. It's supposed to be 0.018 and was over 100 or something like that. And they found drugs in his body. It's in DJ Olu's car that they're saying they found drugs.
There were 2 dead bodies, DJ Olu and another Amechi Chime. Both of them were found dead, and they had nose coming through, blood coming through their nose and mouth.
We've been seeing overdose abroad. It's now in Nigeria. The abuse of drugs
we don't know
by
that for
young
a fact,
people.
yes.
The abuse of drugs is high.
Right.
And this kind of things, over-drinking, drinking and driving is a norm. We see it happen daily. I think that there are things we can do to prevent this. We have a law against drinking and driving. We have a law protecting these people. Let us implement some of these things a little more.
All right.
They need, what's that thing?
Breathalyzers. We announced that one like 2 years ago.
I've been in that Ikoyi area. I mean, where I was driving, we're coming back from the vigil. Kids, young, coming from a club. They drank so much, and the car right in front of me, the car flipped over. There's a bend in Ikoyi on that Kingsley Road. Yeah. That bend, it flipped over, all of them upside down, and we're all drunk. We had to help them out. So kids are just really going over. Let's move on very quickly now to The Nation. And our hearts go out to the families of this, because 12, 25 years old kids.
Yeah, imagine.
Bunch of kids.
May their souls rest in perfect
Amen.
peace.
The Nation, presidency backs Baru. The quotes here, we'll move on though. 31 monkeypox cases in Lagos, Ekiti, Ogun. Others. Buhari's wife, Aso Clinic has no syringe. Gunmen killed nursing mom, 11 others in Rivers. So this presidency back in, should we take it to The Nation?
But monkeypox is now in Lagos.
Oh, yes.
According to the director.
It's not confirmed though. They just still, they've quarantined 31 people, and they're still monitoring them. That's what I read.
According to the national coordinator and chief executive officer, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Chikwe Ihekwezu.
Yes.
Lagos, as well as 6 other states that he named, now have cases likened to monkeypox, but they are not confirmed. So that's the consolation. But you know they are investigating. But Lagos also brought out the number. The Commissioner for Health, Jide Idris, has addressed us, and they've released the number.
Said that there was one case.
Just one case that they're studying, and released the number for any suspicious cases to be reported to them.
The number, because they give a number that you can call if you know anything.
You're going to say something?
Yeah, I want to take presidency, the Baru story. So the NNPC has come out to state that they were not contravening any law. According to the laws guiding them, they only needed the permission of the Tenancy Tenders Board to approve contracts below $20 billion. And anything above that, they will take it to the presidency directly. So, presidency or FEC. So, there was at no point did they need constitutionally to face the board or Kachukwu as the Minister of State. So it was...
That's as regards contract. But he didn't mention the issue of insubordination. He didn't mention the issue of those the people he appointed.
Henderson and Nupeng, for my hand, they queued up behind the GMD saying, you know, you're doing things the right way, while in support of you and all that.
Kachukwu has been redundant. So why do we not have a Minister of State?
We're not discussing it. Let's just review the papers. Let's move on down to Daily Sun. You're lying. NNPC fights back, faults Kachukwu. Police Service Commission investigates CPs 2019. Vying for presidency not on the card, says Osinbajo. Anambra Guba, IPOB declares sit at home November 18th. Malu, ex-chief of army staff, dies in Egypt. Marginalization responsible for agitation, says Kalu. An army launches Operation Crocodile Smile in Lagos and Ogun. Interesting. All right, so the Osinbajo said, sorry?
The army is saying that this is part of their usual drive and that this is not targeted at any individual or group. Right.
So we see them in Lagos, they're just doing... So then Vice President said he's not interested in the presidency. And that suspicion came because initially there was a time when they were asking if the president was going to run in 2019. That even if he doesn't run, they expect that it's still going to be zoned to the north.
We're in 2017. We have not even experienced the change we all voted for. I voted for this change. And we're already asking questions and people are already campaigning.
Well, 2019 is around the corner. That's the reality of our time. It's around the corner. So, although it's illegal to start declaring, just like the governor did, but we shouldn't do that. Moving on now to Vanguard. You lied, cooked figures. NNPC replies Kachukwu. Nigeria wasn't stable due to my husband's ill health. Ex-COAS Chief of Army Staff Malu dies at 70. Buhari APC mourn. Quick notice, no one can send people away from any part of Nigeria. Southeast South governors say. Monkeypox now in Lagos and 6 other states. 31 cases recorded. And presidency 2019. Atiku rethinks joining PDP as Makarfi Lamido prepare. Right.
So the cooking up figures, I think that there were some figures that the former GMD, Kachukwu, Minister of State, put out in his 8-page letter that the NNPC is saying were wrong, that those were not the amounts, that it was higher than... that it was
260 million unremitted into TSA, for instance.
That it was not, that wasn't the fact. Okay. So they gave a lower figure than that. But my question is, so what exactly is the job of Minister for State?
No, what the issues are, is this how they investigate an allegation of that magnitude? Within the NNPC, we know it's a conduit pipe. We reported in the past administration that this NNPC was a conduit pipe for corruption. And, you know, this kind of allegations come out. Somebody is talking to somebody behind closed doors. They're now responding to each other on this paper.
May I just remind us?
Can we just get the Senate probe done, please?
May I just remind us that the former CBN governor, now Emir of Kano, mentioned that there was a $20 billion missing in the NNPC. And during the Jonathan government, everybody denied it, including Minister for Finance, Okonjo Iweala. But see what is happening with Dezani now. No, they are now finding money everywhere.
Okonjo finally said that it was about only 13 or something. I can't remember the figure.
We kept on going back. We went to 11 million, billion, and
anyways, the ex-chief of army staff died in Egypt for medical reasons. He was a commander in ECOMOG, and I think he had to be flown to Egypt for medical issues.
They said that the presidency is mourning him. May his soul rest in perfect peace. But again, it just reminds us that our health sector is in comatose.
Final paper is this day.
You know that the Akpabio world-class hospital has been shut down.
You know me, I was praying for Akpabio over the weekend, though, with that stadium. That stadium won me lorry like crazy.
But his hospital.
And I thank God that he built that stadium. And we know hospital, but the fact that the stadium is even functional.
It's world-class
I'm already praying for Akpabio. So I believe, by faith, that the hospital too will work. Don't worry.
Hospital has been shut down.
No power. No, they will work on, no worry. As long as that functional stadium is making work, don't worry. So, final paper is this day.
Football is important. God bless.
I'm saying that he spent a lot of money building both the stadium and the hospital. Please. Final paper is this day. NNPC response, Kachukwu's board effectively redundant. Monkeypox spreads to Lagos, Rivers, 5 other states. And Osinbajo, I have no plan to contest for presidency I think we've covered up pretty much all the stories.
Yeah.
So let's take a break. When we come back, mental health is our hot topic, and later, monkeypox is the hottest virus around. So we're going to discuss it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress in related to others and make choices. To commemorate today's Mental Health Day, we'll be discussing issues that affect us mentally. Joining us on the show is a mental health nurse and clinician, Josiah Jackson Okeshola. Welcome to the show, sir.
It's nice to be here.
Yes. Tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so...
I am under stress.
Right.
Okay.
And the one thing that always gives me stress is when we start talking about Nigeria. Once we start talking about Nigeria, I just realize that I just go under stress. And I have mental issues. I cannot rationalize how somebody will steal some kind of money and all those kind of things.
Okay.
So how do I treat that kind of issue that confronts me every day? Why are you looking at me like that?
It's normal to be under stress. And I want to tell you that it's not only you. Every Nigerian is under stress. There's nothing you can do about that. Stress is part of life. And mental health is all about your ability to cope with those stresses of life when they come, especially when things are not going too smoothly. Setbacks, difficulties, storms of life are inevitable.
Right.
So when these things happen, your ability to be able to control your emotions and still perform optimally is what we can use to gauge how mentally healthy you are. So the fact that you are under stress doesn't mean that something abnormal is wrong with you or you're not ashamed. So,
Nurse Josiah.
yes.
So Nigeria, for instance, is a communal, state. Most of Africa. So we don't have mental health issues like the Caucasians to the extent that it's a big deal over there for them.
Okay.
Here, if you're stressed or crying, your boyfriend left you or you lost your job,
Snap out of it.
you got to. What's wrong with you? Is it only you? Are you the first one? Come on, Jebajo. Because, there's always family around us. We're not as lonely as the Caucasians.
Okay.
So we don't take it seriously.
Okay.
How do we move from that state? Because we now find that by the time they discover the mental health issues that, for instance, even a woman post-natally is going through, you may be late.
Okay.
What do we need to do to start to take mental health issues serious as a community?
Let me respond by saying we are not taking mental health issues serious. It's not because we have a good support system. It is because we have devised ways of escaping from our problems, negative ways of escaping from our problems.
Like
For example, someone has just lost a job. That is that's life's major setback.
Right.
Someone who has lost a job comes home to a nagging wife. The support system is not there. Because everybody is expecting that this person delivers. The society is so materialistic that they don't want to care about what you're going through. So someone loses a job, comes home to a wife who is expecting that you provide for the family. And that's not palatable for women. So there is a negative reaction. You need to pay school fees, you need to pay house rents, and you know how women can be, in quotes, when these things are not forthcoming. They are always under stress.
Carefully, gentlemen. You're
exactly. I'm waiting for him to laugh.
Carefully.
So this man goes out to the bar and starts drinking.
That's
just to escape from that particular problem that is facing. You mentioned something about someone who is just had a break in a relationship. The person is not coping because she or he has a support system. The person is coping with negative issues. The person might be stuck on social media. You see the person spending 24 hours on social media, posting pictures, happy pictures, trying to cover up. So it is because we have developed negative coping mechanism, drugs, alcohol, addiction to...
do you have for the woman now in this instance? Because, you know, the man has lost his job. She's nagging probably because she's also stressed. So what suggestions do you have for the stressed woman nagging to deal with her own stress?
That takes me to what she said earlier.
Narrative of women. I totally disagree.
Because you know why I say why I'm asking.
No. I'm not saying not all women nag.
So the men will still go to the drinking, even though the woman is loving and accepting. And a lot of women are working these days. They can even cushion him for a bit, but he will still go to drinking because in his own head he's not meeting up to expectations.
I agree with you. For the woman. I agree with you.
I agree
with you with that. Even if the woman is not nagging, the man will still find a way of going. You understand? Now, the problem is the awareness, the mental health awareness is not there. Like in the Western world that you talked about, someone loses a loved one, they refer to a counselor, a psychologist, because you are envisaging that there might be a problem with the mental health of this person. So at the initial stage, you nip that on the board and refer to a psychologist. But someone loses a loved one in this part of the world, and they see a man crying, and you hear people saying, "What in they worry you now? It's the woman." You know, so it is because the awareness is not there that when stresses of life come, when the setback comes, we need to ask for help, seek for help, and pay attention to our mental health.
So today is World Mental Health Day, which is to draw awareness to how important it is. Sadly, within the past 2 weeks, 2 young people have lost their lives due to, some people are speculating, drug abuse,
the
alcohol.
Autopsy is confirming drug abuse.
You know, so, and we've found, you've mentioned that those things are used as coping mechanism, negative coping mechanism to cover up the lack of
intense emotional burden.
Okay, so now, for those that are resorting, and we can see them resorting to those negative coping mechanisms, what can we direct them to do? What are the solutions to help them cope
better?
The first thing is to understand what we call emotional resilience.
Okay.
Emotional resilience is very important anytime we're talking about mental health, because your emotional resilience will determine how you're going to react when the storms of life come calling. And that is why paying attention to one's emotional resilience is very, very important. Emotional resilience is your ability to bounce back. Now, note, bounce back. We're saying we are expecting the storms to come, but we are prepared for the worst. But people don't want to hear that. God forbid bad thing. So, I'm sitting here, I'm already prepared in case something happens to me tomorrow and I die. How are you going to cope, my wife? The first time I asked my wife that question, she was like, are you out of your mind? But that's the reality. That's emotional resilience. Now, I'm sitting here, I'm imagining, in case I lose my job tomorrow, how am I going to move on? Preparation is the key. So when you are mentally aware and you build up your emotional resilience, so that aspect that you are expecting the best and at the same time prepared for the worst, then when these things come calling, you'll be able to cope better.
Let me go to mental issues in young people, teenagers going into young adults. Because that's the case she cited. The parents right now, that they don't know how to handle the emotional breakdown of the teenagers or young adults. They're having issues, either sex issues, adolescents, you know, your body is changing, so many peer pressure here and there, and it's affecting them emotionally. How does a parent, as a nurse, I know you're not a doctor, you're a nurse, but at the same time, if you're going to assist the parents out there, how do you manage a child or a young adult going through that emotional stress?
Fortunately, I have a passion for adolescent mental health. That's where I base. And you see, adolescence is a very tough period. We all pass through it. But unfortunately, the adolescents of today are experiencing 100 times over of what we passed through when we were adolescents, because they are exposed to a lot of pressure. And so that is why you see adolescents today having a lot of problems. But unfortunately, they are not showing it out. They are not speaking out. And that is where the parents are not knowing. So the parents need to develop this kind of awareness, need to educate themselves, need to be informed about the signs that the negative sign, the signals that you can see in adolescents to know that they are already experiencing emotional burden or turmoil. Now, from the age of 12, 13 onward, it is inevitable that every young person will start experiencing this emotional instability and loss of identity. You want to place yourself, you don't know who you are. And in the process, there is this tendency, curiosity for experiment and adventure. So the problems are coming in, and at the same time, you want to have fun and enjoy yourself. So there's a tendency for young people to make wrong decisions. That is why parents, unfortunately, are not paying attention to that. I deal with a lot of young people. I must tell you, parents have failed in the aspect of parenthood or parenting. Because we devote so much time to material things, to our work, our jobs, rationalize, and then neglect. So parents need to pay more attention to their young ones.
Let me ask this question, and I'll ask you a further question. Omogbola says, in recent times, several deaths across the globe are largely due to depression. How can this be tamed or reduced? Now, in Africa, we have ways of approaching. That was what Jumoke was telling you. You prepare a child as young as 4 or 5. Our parents start to prepare us for life's challenges, so that when you're in secondary school, you're on your own, you're independent, you're able to face whatever you see. But a child that is pampered, like the West would do, you know, protected, when these things come, might be confused. So what are your suggestions, you know, that you think would work?
One of the things that parents need to do is allow their children to experience some certain level of stress while they are growing up. For example, most of us are used to providing a driver that takes the child to school, brings the child home every day from primary school, nursery schools, secondary school, and university.
So you should allow them walk
now,
to school?
sometimes you need to allow your children to take public transport.
No.
It's like you're overprotecting them from the real life.
That one. It's the same because there's now
I think
there's washing machine.
There's a point I'm trying to make.
There's washing machine now.
There's a point I'm trying to make.
They will not be washing hands.
There's a point I'm trying to make. You protect, you take away a child from the real world. The child is living a fantasy world.
The real world, sir.
Fantasy world.
Yes.
The real
You need to allow the child to experience the real world.
The real world to you is different from the real world to my 5-year-old. By the time she's your age, washing machine is a normal way of life. Microwave is a normal way of life. It's no more. In fact, they would have never heard of television box again. They've moved.
Is it a normal way of life? Is it normal?
To your own world is not. In their own world it is.
But I think that what
someone
he's
said, I'll
saying
be
is
making you watch
let them have a balance. So expose your children to
taste of what the real world is.
Take them to an orphanage home, so they will experience that some people don't have this meat that you're complaining is too small. Some people don't have it.
May I just quickly say that they used to drop me in school in the morning,
and you turned out
and I will walk back with my cousins.
How many years ago was that? How many years ago was that?
25, 30 years ago.
Oh, you want to compare 25, 30 years ago with our time?
I still turned out good.
And it didn't affect me anyhow.
It won't, because that was in the age.
I understand you. Don't mind it.
I understand you.
I agree with
you.
the statistics that you are saying.
We have to round up.
We have so many adolescents that are committing suicide these days because...
It's not because you take them to school and
No,
drop them.
it's because that connection is not
Pampering must be defined. Pampering is relative. Pampering is relative. Let's take a break.
We'll talk about
we come back, we discuss monkeypox. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
You can hear.
Thanks for staying with us. So presently, some states in Nigeria, including Lagos, are experiencing a virus outbreak that is different from Ebola, called monkeypox. The outbreak, as you know, is reported to be in Uyo, Bayelsa, Rivers State, and Lagos at the moment. How can it be curtailed, and what should people know about the dreaded virus? Joining us on the show is a public health expert, Dr. Tuyi Mebawandu.
Thank you.
You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. And also we're streaming live on Facebook/TVC. You can watch us live. You can tell your friends abroad in London. Right, Doc, monkeypox. all over the papers, all over the news. TVC News has been carrying it since the news broke last week. Everybody's talking about it, and we're scared, especially now that we hear that it's in Lagos, or this is suspected to be in Lagos. For those who have heard and have no information, could you just tell us in a nutshell what monkeypox is? How can it be? How can you get it, and how can you prevent yourself from getting it?
Simply put, it's a virus. Okay. It's a viral disease. First detected in monkeys. Most of the time, these animals, they are reservoir to a lot of viruses, you understand? But for the first time, they are also suffering from the virus, at least a disease of the virus. It's a monkeypox virus disease. So what happened is that to human, it jumps to human, and then what you see first and foremost the symptoms. The incubation period is about 6 to 15 days, sometimes as much as 21 days. That's the incubation period. Subsequently, the person starts having the constitutional symptoms, the fever, but the body pain is intense and there's a lot of weakness. The person is very, very weak. And then suddenly the person starts having the enlargement of lymph nodes. You know, you just see the nodes coming out, you know, becoming very big. And then this one lasts about 5 days. After that, the rashes now comes out. The rashes come out first from the face, and then it can then spread to the other parts of the body, the palms, the soles of the feet, and then generally. The characteristic rash is that it's quite big, bigger, look like boils, bigger than chicken pox, far bigger than measles and all that. There's no cure for monkeypox, and there's no vaccine for monkeypox. But we know that the vaccine, smallpox vaccine, can actually limit it. So, well, the rashes will then undergo pus formation, which we call pustules, and then later they will break down and then form crusts, and then over a course of 21 days, it goes off.
It goes off by itself.
And then the person is immune for life. So that's a good aspect. So it doesn't kill. The fatality rate is just about 1%. It's rarely killed. But again, you look at you can never know what virus might do next time. So, so you don't want to honestly pick the virus, because the disfiguration that can happen from the scar could be so challenging. Yes.
It's worse because the good part is that part where you say once you've experienced it, you are immune for life.
It's like chickenpox now.
Nobody wants to experience it.
Especially because of the extreme pain.
Yes, and the weakness, and then the fact that
what study, or what is government doing to study to get us vaccines against these kind of things? Because we know that there's a Center for Disease Control.
Yes.
Well,
we've had Ebola. We've had, by now we should be rolling out vaccines against, this kind of things, or preparing for things like this.
Yes, you've touched a very important issue, which we call epidemic emergency preparedness. We need to actually be prepared. We're going to see more of epidemics. Unfortunately, we're going to see more of it. The reason is obvious. One, human settlement is being expanded. We're touching this animal, because how do we get these viruses? It's either jump from either either domestic animal or wild animal to human. That's how it starts first. There's what we call a zoonotic spark, a jump that happens. So as long as we keep getting in contact with these animals, either by our own building and exploration of minerals and all those stuff, we'll get. Once you get that exposed to those animals, of course, the thing jumps, and then you can now move from human to human. Now, the thing is that the key issue is that we must be able to spot and stop the epidemics. You must spot it even at the level of the animal. Okay, we must be able to have that indices, things that we have to think and say that where are the high risk area where we're likely going to get epidemics. Once we are doing these kind of activities, because again, we have weak health system. We have, malnourished people. And you can imagine, if Aso Rock would not have paracetamol and syringes, so what do you expect from it?
I have to say something, because I know you may not have the answer to this question, but it beats me to know that people are still eating monkeys, dogs, snakes. when there's still chicken, hang in there. The point is that there's cow, there's goat, there's chicken. Why are people still eating bushmeat? Because I have the problem with that.
A pointer to issue of food security. A pointer to issue of food security. If you look at it, you'll be surprised to get protein in such locality where there's poverty. It's a lot of challenge. And they've been used to eating all this food all the while. It appears cow looks common, chickens are there and all those things. But again, when you move to hinterland and you start seeing the dimension of the health system, and you match that with the degree of malnutrition, the poor health system, and the fact that there's no food security, I mean, anything can happen.
Sir, I feel worried that this thing broke out in Bayelsa, and from there it leaked into other states. Because I had a feeling that if it had broken out in Lagos, probably would have been able to contain it. But as it is, they cannot effectively, if they could have effectively quarantined everybody that had exposure, we wouldn't have had it in Lagos. That was why we were able to see the person, somebody move into Lagos, apparently. We don't know the study from the person that is in Lagos, how many people they've had contacts with. How ready is our public health sector to deal with such a thing? Do we have enough space to quarantine as many people as we need to ensure that it doesn't spread further?
The first thing, when an epidemic breaks, the first thing is surveillance. When you need to do what surveillance, you know, I mentioned spot and stop. Okay, the first thing is surveillance. To do surveillance, you need human resources. You need epidemiologists. You need wonderful laboratories. Okay, and you need even the community people that can go around and look at people and understand that these new things are happening. But look at it, the health system is weak. You know, you can barely, you know, get quality care or patient satisfaction in our institutions. The primary health thing is just about people. The other time, you remember, Gavi, Global Alliance for Vaccine Initiative, nearly pulled out of Nigeria, you know, because of a lot of corruption in the public primary health care development agency. So you see all these things. So when you now, you know, put all these things down, you know, no human resources, and then even in some countries they've started what we call emergency preparedness for epidemics in terms of, you know, setting money apart to attack epidemics should lead raise its head elsewhere. So now, if you look at our NEMA, we are not getting anything like that we said, okay, this is the fund, should we have epidemic? The cost of epidemic is much. Look at Ebola, about $2.8 billion. In those countries, we're still battling that. You know, look at cholera, look at meningitis. Now, Lassa fever. That is, if you look at the inclusive cost, the fact that this guy is in university is going to be great guy tomorrow and pick Ebola or whatever the epidemic and dies. Or that this parent is taking care of the children and then dies. Those are what we call inclusive costs.
It is the lack of leadership will and sincerity on part of our leaders to, you know, do this thing. We don't need Gavi, for instance. Okay.
You are speaking my mind. Honestly, frankly,
you are speaking my mind. If we were sincere in leadership. Now, what are we looking at within? Because we have herbs. Is it that our herbs are totally useless when it comes to things like this?
No, research.
Because, you know, our ancestors, they use these things and it works.
We've grown beyond ancestors. You know, research. Honestly,
I like that.
You know, research, you know, it's our research. For instance, what are the simple things that can be done to curtail epidemic, you know, spread, or even the spark? Simple things. What we need to do at that level is to communicate. Communication is key. The communication must go as local as possible and in the way people can understand their local language, what they can relate to, their churches and mosques and whatever it may be. We must be able to communicate at that level. Once we communicate, this is what we're having. This is what we're having. This is what is promoting it. This is what you can do. These are incentives if you do these things. And then, you know, we must be able to spend money. Right. It's not sufficient, you know, for us to...
Let's go on a quick break. Now, when we come back, we'll take some tweets. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Jumoke had a question?
So, monkeypox was discovered in 1958 and was named after, you know, the monkeys in which they found them before they jumped to humans. Now, in the last 2 years, like we mentioned earlier, we've had meningitis, cholera, Lassa fever in Nigeria. Thank God Ebola came in the last government and we curbed it. Now, I sort of like know the answer to the question that I'm asking in terms of these diseases that have been there for so long and other countries are able to prevent them coming back. Why are we unable in Nigeria to prevent such diseases?
Again, first thing, if you really need to change your health system, you know, you need to build human resources, okay? It takes human knowledge for you to understand how epidemic is formed, how the spark comes about, and how it is spread. It takes that sort of human and finance to be able to arrange vaccines and to do research. Because again, when you are dealing with such epidemics, what you do again is maybe to have vaccine to deploy appropriately. But should vaccine come to this country now, you'll be surprised that it will get to Lagos easily, it may not get to Bayelsa because of disparity. You know, market issues will also come into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So now, human resources, finance, and even communication, health literacy.
Right.
We need to actually be able to, that is quite cheap. You see a lot of billboards all over Lagos, for instance, and you cannot even see one that communicates health. Everything is about, you know, what to drink, what to... I mean, we can't run a country like that. Let me take this call
from Adams. Adams, are you there? Yeah. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I want to say is we cannot afford to talk about, I'm going to start, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we cannot afford to start talking about how we're going to dish out some amount of money as a way of trying to tackle these issues, like the doctor rightly said. Of course, I would agree that that is the right thing to do. But because of the level of corruption in this country, we cannot start comparing ourselves with the likes of U.S., who have a very great level of antecedent. They know these things will possibly happen, and then they find a way to tackle it. But Nigeria, I tell you, the moment you start doing this, it will be another avenue for money to start leaving this country in the millions and billions that we are already used to.
That's our problem. We just believe everything.
Thank you very much, Adams. Thank you very much. Doctor, I know that they said that the smallpox vaccine could actually have assisted, but because smallpox is eradicated in the 80s, we don't have it readily available. Now, do you think that, is it to solve this problem, is it by getting more smallpox vaccine across the South states, these 6 states that have been that are quarantining people, or do you think that even the smallpox vaccine is still going to be insufficient to curb this new outbreak?
The logistics of getting smallpox vaccine is quite humongous, you know, because number one, it's a disease that has been eradicated, except in some special institutes where they are kept for reference purposes.
Right.
No, why are you not producing smallpox vaccine? Yeah. It's not even viable. No company will want to do it except, you know. So, but what we should do at our own level is to honestly start, because the first thing is that minimize contact with these wild animals. Okay. Now, at our own local level, we should be able to sensitize and educate people on what to do should they experience that. We should be able to build, you know, health capacity to respond appropriately to issues like this. These are quite things within our reach that we can easily do.
Laura, stop eating bushmeat and stop contacting wild animals.
So,
really.
So what do we do in future? Okay.
Let me take Victory and I'll come to Jim, okay? Victory, are you there?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm happy since yesterday, Mariah, to get brought in. Itemized on Nigerian problems. That's what he brought. The same thing the post gets this morning, as well as the doctor now. So I think that we find it very difficult to amend our ways. This coach that is hitting us hard, and yet we are staring at it. Now this issue has come up. The doctor has like said, in Nigeria they don't make provision for such things. Even the things name I mentioned on. In China, it's the same app they have developed into drugs, and they see export to our country. but we've not been able to do anything about it. I just hope by God's grace, one day someone will come up and speak to Nigeria problem. Thank you. God bless.
Yes, Nima.
So I was going to go back to that question, actually. We remember that this white people came here and they took our herbs, the quinine leaf we call chloroquine. No, there's this dongoyaro.
Okay.
And they converted it, and we now buy this as drugs in tablet forms. Why are we not looking into what we have, researching on what we already have? Because whether monkeypox is new or not, it might be discovered in 1982. It might have been existing forever since monkeys have been existing. Why are we not researching within to discover things? And why are our doctors not open to these suggestions? Why are we always looking away
from ancestors?
May I just quickly answer you? They are orthodox doctors.
No, listen. Research is an important and integral aspect of every society. Even political research, legal research. Research is key because, again, you must learn and relearn. Whatever. You must learn and relearn. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is it. Even in health and science, that is what makes us thrive. But wait a minute, research requires money. Look at our research institutes, the Virology Institute somewhere there. It's moribund. It's moribund. Look at Yaba, where we produce vaccine. It's moribund. So again, for us to even think of how to respond to health in terms of emergency, we still have to even import Center for Disease Control in America. Why did I go to school, for goodness sake?
There's a local company, I can't remember the name, Yemkem or Semkem.
Yes, Yemkem.
They used to do something like that. Nobody took them serious.
No, they were saying that dosage, that you have to have dosage for those health. Now, so my last question, sir, was that we found Ebola was because of monkey, this one because of monkey, that one because of rats. What do people, because why lack of protein?
He has answered.
Stop eating monkeys.
Mariah, it's not about eating. He mentioned that because of the expansion and population growth, we are moving into the habitats. So it jumps on us. We don't even need to eat it. We touch them.
Exploitation of minerals.
Takes them in there.
And then with domesticated animals, we don't even look at them properly. You understand? To see that.
What is vets? So you're about eating.
So why can't we just blow up the entire field before people start moving in there? Listen.
You would disturb the ecosystem. And that would be worse.
Right.
That would be worse. You would
just be aware, protect yourself.
Yeah. So when you see a monkey, run away, pretty much. Right. Let's wrap up the program right now. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. I think we learned, and we're going to keep learning. We're learning and relearning.
What you need to do is be able to take into your hands your health. Take charge of your health. Take charge of health. Don't be in a hurry to leave this earth.
Right.
Because you have
don't be in a hurry to shake hands.
You have a time to spend under the ground. Yeah. So just maximize your life. Try of health. Maximize it.
All right. Now, Thank you so much. That's all we can take on the show. And don't forget, celebration is still ongoing tonight, 7 p.m. every night this week. For those of you that like to like good Afrobeat music, please, you don't want to miss celebration. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.